in newspapers, you don't have time for sort of writing superstitions. I've got like an hour to crack out 1,200 words and get it over to the office somehow. And I think some of that just feeds over to into the writing the big books. And when I'm going, I'll just sit down and belt it out. Much too much, actually. I then have to cut it back. But I mean, I write fast. The problem is actually getting to that moment, particularly when it's, you're trying to handle masses of text. I mean, they're big chunks of content that you're dealing with. So it's the superstition, if there is one, is to faff for hours, if not days, rearranging source material or diving down rabbit holes or whatever, and then reach the moment where the top gets flipped off the fizzy bottle and it just goes. There's that jet of words. But I haven't got a kind of like white rabbit foot or a yellow pencil or something.
I can see that having a sacred fountain pen is not very compatible with that life.
I see people when I'm reporting and they've got their kind of expensive notebook, one of the kind of ones you buy for 10, 15 quid, and they've got a nice pen. And I'm like, you're not a professional, because, well, how many notebooks do I go for a week? I mean, it would cost a fortune. And the pen, I mean, you just grab a cheap biro and have hundreds of them everywhere. I play the piano really badly.
Mm-hmm.
I sing in choirs, which is fantastic. That's been in doing the Gaza war. It's been, I'm always, for a long time in water, I've done a lot of conflicts, and for a long, long time, until a few years ago, I never spoke about what it's like to do it as a reporter, because I was so aware of how privileged our own position is. We have passports, visas, we can walk in and out and go back to our nice lives in the West. And so I never spoke about it. And then I did have a longish period where it really did get to me. I wasn't particularly well as a result of 25 years of covering horrible things happening to people who didn't deserve anything like that at all. And so I started speaking about it a bit more. So which I think is important. So the Gaza episode, which, whether it's the atrocities of October the 7th or the unconscionable violence that they triggered and followed in Gaza over so long and so relentlessly, has been wearing, put it that way. And you need to build in breaks and outlets. And I've learned that, even if there's a temptation just to keep going at it because you feel it's so important. And one of them for me has been singing, badly, obviously, but I love my choirs. It's a brilliant moment, so I do that. Recent translation of the Odyssey, Emily Wilson, I think, which is fabulous. Contemporary language, but kept the rhythm and it's brilliant. So I read a few lines of that from time to time. Sebastian Smee on the birth of the Impressionists in Paris, which is just the sort of thing I like. I love art history, but this is showing how the experience of the Paris Commune was instrumental in the birth of modern art, basically, which is this brilliant fusion of history and art history and lots of things that interest me. So I'm working through them. But I have a shelf, actually. I don't have a table. I have a shelf within arm's reach. So there are about 120 books, of which 108 are unread, obviously. Honestly, I wanted to be a reporter when I was 13 or 14. I mean, I can remember it quite clearly. I was doing a paper round and I used to read all the front pages. I just thought, I want to do that. And I've been fantastically lucky in that I have been able to do really what I always wanted to do. And, that is not given to everybody. Don McCulling's autobiography, Unreasonable Behaviour, that made me desperately want to do what I do, but also made me aware of how it can be very damaging to you and to your loved ones. And it's a searingly honest book by a searingly honest man. And that, I think, in retrospect, had quite a significant influence on me. At the time, I just thought, wow, this is brilliant. Look, isn't that exciting and adventurous? But the other side of it, I think, was also quite influential in a more, a less obvious way.